also do pollinating for crops and that kind of thing. The other thing that I learned that was really fascinating was their hay is very highly sought after. It's kind of one of those deals where they produce it and then they sell it to other countries and then they use whatever they got around. There's so many flowers in their hay. You go to their hay pasture and it's just covered in flowers. And then they harvest that hay and it has so many different vitamins and nutrients because it's such a big variety. We're cattle ranchers and we basically plant Sudan over and over again every year because it loves the heat and it grows and it's sweet and the cows like it. But it's really curious as to, they don't exactly plant any particular crop. And it's just beautiful. You just go there and you're just, wow, that's like you're going to hay that? It's incredible. Okay, so some of the many things that I went to Solid Media for, they literally had us go to different beekeepers every day. We went to 2 or 3 beekeepers a day, and when you get there, what they do is their hospitality, they'll offer you their mead or their schnapps with honey in it, or it's 10 o'clock in the morning and they're offering you a shot glass. And so you can't not drink it, or they, you're like totally insulting them. So you really get the habit of just a sip and a sit down, kind of thing. And so anyway, that was quite the experience. I don't generally drink, and so you do a lot of walking, but you really don't notice it because you're feeling pretty good. So okay, so I'm going to kind of flip through here. So anyway, some other things that we experienced. We learned a lot about what they're doing to actually help with your health. To actually help with your health. They're doing a lot of studies on pollen over there and different things like that. What they do is they start with one little grain of pollen, and they put it in a big glass of warm water, and they stir it until it breaks down. And then they drink it, and they see if they have a reaction. That's how you test and see if you have a reaction. And then if you're okay with it, you do that for 7 days, and then the next week you add 2 grains of pollen. If you do have a reaction, you want to wait until the dead of winter when there's no pollen in the air, and to add to that reaction, and then give it another go. So some of the reasons they talked about for pollen was they're finding that it actually lowers prostate numbers. Their clubs were doing a big study, and of course it's not like 1,000 people did this. It was like, 10 guys in a club who basically are getting blood work done every 6 months, and they noticed it brought their levels down either into the safe zone, or if it wasn't a safe zone, it brought them down to a point. And they got to where they were taking about a spoonful every morning. They did notate some reactions where their stomach got really agitated, like you eat something that didn't quite agree with you, and that let them know to back off. So they're trying to find out a lot more about health and how it can help you. They also were doing studies with pollen and also with propolis. And as you can see here, with the top bar hive, I don't use entrance excluders. So, like the other presentation, you can have a mice problem. So I started putting hail cloth across the front to protect them. But I don't really exclude the entrance because bees can go in and out, and they'll make their own propolis. I want them to make as much as possible. And they get it. Propolis is antibacterial, antifungal. And back before there was pharmaceuticals and things, when they do open heart surgery, like it was always exploratory, they didn't touch it right open, they'd make a paste out of it, and when they were sewing you up, they would spread it over it, and it would stop staph infection. So it's like it's only incredible healing qualities. What I do, and I'll kind of show you a little bit, I have some here. This is propolis and olive oil, and we'll pass it around and kind of look at it. and you kind of see how it has a film to it. You kind of see it better there if you tilt it up on its side. Propolis doesn't blend well, so what I do is I take it and I grind it up I have a designated coffee grinder that I bought for $20 that I don't care about. Propolis stains things. They use it as a varnish on furniture and other things. But I put it in a whole bottle of Everclear, and I put it over my sock drawer because I'm a freak about my socks. I change my socks every day. And you want to shake the bottle every day. So I get up in the morning, and I have these bottles on the top of my dresser, and I shake them up. And so they get mixed up. And once it dissolves pretty good, about 8 weeks into the alcohol, I'll shift it through a coffee filter, and then I have my propolis. So what I use, and how it's a part of apitherapy, and what I learned in Slovenia, if you get a cut in your hand, and you instantly drop the propolis down your hand, it will seal the cut. The alcohol will actually kill any bacteria. And so you put a couple drops, you let it dry, drip down, dry. If you want a paper towel, don't do this on your white washcloths, they'll turn around. And you let the alcohol evaporate off, and then you keep putting the drops on until it stops burning, because alcohol burns. So by that time, you literally have a sealant over that infection, or that cut, and you won't get infected. My husband was building a polariscope for the honey show, and there's lots of little intricate things you have to drill in parts and stuff. Well, he put the drill through his finger. Well, not all the way, but enough to burst you out. And so the first thing I did was I ran and got the alcohol propolis and dripped over it. And it's the kind of cut, it's your finger, right? You use it for wiping, so it's going to go places. And so anyway, he did get an infection. He didn't have to take an antibiotic. So it really does work. So some of these things that I'm telling you about for apitherapy, a lot of talks you'll just hear about how bee stings help you. There may be a day when you're your community doctor, when things go crazy. You saw that I'm a Christian and I believe in Revelations. And so you may actually be the person that stops somebody from dying from staph infection for the cut in your hand. So this kind of thing it's good to learn now and mess with and try to figure out now. The other thing that I use the propolis and alcohol for is if I start to get a sore throat, I'll spray it in the back of my throat, or I'll put some drops, and then I generally don't get sick because it kills any bacteria or anything that's causing you to be sick. I use it for that. There's studies that show people that have had tumors in their body that they used it to help with that. Also, when people have taken chemotherapy, you have a chance of getting sick because your immune system is so bad, and there's people that have used it to stay healthy through chemotherapy. So it's really incredible stuff. What I did to get it in olive oil, these are like the beginnings of what you can do with propolis. I took the same amount of the tincture with the alcohol and propolis and put it in the same amount of olive oil and put it on my sock drawer, and I'd shake it up and leave the lid off every so often to let the alcohol evaporate, and over about 8 weeks it would infuse into the olive oil. And I use the olive oil for ear infections. I have 4 little kids, and it was like every week I was taking somebody to the doctor's office to get some kind of something to make their ear infection better. And once I got this stuff, they just stopped. I put it in their ears before they go to bed. Next morning they're fine. I always brag with my sister over here. I didn't have to get tubes in my kids' ears. So many people do because of that. And so to me that was like one of the few wins as a mom. I feel like I really did something. But anyway, so, and not just that, the doctor's bills, you couple $100 every time you go, something like that. Even if you got, I don't want to get into that. Okay, yeah, okay. So I'm going to kind of go through a few things here. And so some of the other things that I learned in Slovenia that I was really, really amazed at was hormone therapy. And I do not recommend you mess with your hormones, okay? That's how people get cancer and stuff. But you can consult your doctor. There's other options. So if you eat queen larvae that's about 5 days old is high in estrogen. And so at the international conference, they had a lot of speakers there. One of them was from China. And he said in China, apitherapy is becoming such a respected field that when you get to a certain level in your becoming a doctor, you know, where you choose to be a cardiologist or a pediatrician, they now have apitherapy. So it's like being taken seriously. So the other thing that you mentioned was you don't want to take more than 6. You always, anything that you try to take with, as a treatment for yourself, you want to always start with the very, very smallest amount. You know, like the 1 grain of pollen. I mean, that's like, you know, minuscule. And you kind of work it up until you start feeling iffy. But like I said, when it comes to hormones, that I'm not in a hurry to start eating Barbie and everything. You know, but it's good knowledge to know. Also, drone larvae has testosterone in it, so that was another fascinating thing. And I will not try one unless I have to at some point, but I've been told they taste kind of nutty and sweet, and the older the larvae, the more nutty, the less sweet. And so they're also a food source, so that's something that's fascinating. Some other things, we saw probably about 10 different apotherapists. One lady I went to, she actually said, well, hey, we do massages here. And I'm like, okay, I gotta find out what a honey massage is and why. And so basically she said that it pulls some of the toxins out of your lymph nodes, and it's just your back, you know, where your shoulders, your armpits, that kind of thing. That was weird. But then at the end, they kind of finished it with like a thin sheet of beeswax. And I think that was just to kind of pull some of the oils and things out of your skin. That was weird. But when I got to talk to her, the main reason I wanted to was she was working on people that had cataracts. And what she found was that if you put a drop of honey in your eyes at night, 7 days a week, or for 7 days, and then the following week, you put royal jelly on your eyelid at night, and you continue until the cataracts start to dissolve. So when I got back, I have a son that is losing his eyesight. So I'm like, dude, I'll try just about anything. We've been to all, I mean, we're in Dallas-Fort Worth. Like, we have some of the best vision doctors around, you know. When they'll tell you, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do. He's growing or changing. Who knows what they're going to do. So I'm like, yeah, I'm willing to try this. So I mentioned it to him. The one thing you have to be careful with is the honey. Because if it has that, I can't think of what it is, but it can make little babies sick. Botulism, yeah. If it's not, this is one reason where you might want to warm it a little bit. You can get like a pink eye kind of effect if it's not really clean honey. So that's one thing, if you ever try that yourself. But you always want to talk to your doctor first. Like if you're looking like you're about to go in and get cataract surgery, you know, hey, doc, I heard this thing. You know anything about that? And so always consult your doctor. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Okay, let it catch up. Some other things that we got into was just different ways that you can improve your health. They talked about, she also had 5 women that were having fertility issues. She really didn't go into exactly what those were, because there's like a million things. It could be the wrong thing. And she had them taking just a minute amount of royal jelly every night before bed. And after about 6 months, 4 of them were pregnant. So I don't know if it just bounced out the hormones or what, but anyway, I'm not. My husband and I, we've been married 21 years and we have 4 kids. Our oldest are twins that are 8, and we basically bought a house doing fertility treatments. And I should totally retry this. I'm just being honest with you. And if you ever know anybody that's been through fertility treatments, it's a rough road. So if you, I mean, what's it going to hurt me to eat a little royal jelly? I mean, literally. So it's worth pursuing. And one of the easiest ways to harvest royal jelly, I talked to quite a few different people. So after an egg is 3 days, and after the 3rd day, if the queen lays it, they'll put some royal jelly. And then after 3 days of that, then they just start feeding it honey if it's going to be a worker bee. But if it's a queen, it's going to continue to be fed royal jelly. It just floats in it. So I'm sitting there thinking, how am I going to get a little dinky drop? I'm not going to do that out of every one of these little cells. I mean, I'm getting older, I shave just a little bit, that's all you need. And so I started studying, I'm a master beekeeper, and I started studying queen rearing. And the easiest way to do royal jelly is to graft your queens, and then you wait about 4 days when the larvae's not too big, but there's a massive amount of royal jelly. And then you take those queens and you just pick the larvae out, you pinch it shut, and you have a capsule of royal jelly. And you can just put it in your deep freeze and you have it. I would never recommend buying royal jelly from anybody, because anything you buy, you have to pay $500 for some of it. They probably cut it with something. Even if you just, with your own hives, you see one of those queen cells that you can, instead of just gutting it, you could actually get royal jelly from that. It's just something that, if you're going to do it yourself. You know what I mean? You know what's in your hive, you know what's in there, you know what's been done to it. So there's some really good uses for royal jelly. Some other things that they did, they talked about hand cream and what the difference is between natural beeswax going into things and, I would say, too filtered beeswax. You know, beeswax has been filtered too much. There's a lot of, if I don't have the ingredients, I buy them from Bulk Apothecary, because they have, which is crazy, they have the less expensive products and the highest quality. I don't even know how they do that, but they have several different grades of wax, and even shea butter. They have unfiltered and filtered. And when I was making one of my hand creams, I ordered both, so what's the difference? Well, the unfiltered just has a little more smell to it, but it works better. It hydrates better, it coats better. So the more natural that you can use, I have found is more effective. I've had people, I have a little hand cream that I have at my booth at my market. A guy came along, an older gentleman, had a hat, got some of the hand cream, took his hat off, put it on his head, put the hat on, and walked away. It was the weirdest. I just looked at my husband and I was like, did you really see that? Did that just happen? Or have I just been sitting here too long? And he goes, no, I think that really happened. And so then I forgot about it. I just thought, this is crazy. The following week, we're set up and everything, and I see him come back, and he's with his wife, and he just starts breaking into tears, and he just can't talk. And his wife, she said, my husband has skin cancer, and it's on his head because he's bald, and they cut it off, and it will not heal, because your heart pumps so hard to get brain up to or blood up to your brain, that he'd be sitting at dinner, and blood would just trickle down, and he wouldn't know it because it's the same temperature as what it was awful. And just that little bit of beeswax that was in this hand cream helped seal that and let it heal. And so now I have a bunch of cancer patients that come and buy my hand cream. So these are things that you can just about find any basic recipe for hand cream. I get people with eczema, all these crazy skin things, and a lot of times if you can just seal your skin away from the damages of the world, it will heal itself. And it's such an inexpensive way. There are lotion bars recipes that are just so simple and easy. You can find them online. The UN has, and I'm not a big fan, but they have this, they spend a lot of money, I'm sure. They have this program, and it's called, it's like a whole book that you can just download or look up or click on the pages. And it talks about value-added products from the hive. And I'm sure they put this together hoping that they could take it to third world countries and fifth world countries and they could start a bee business. But the recipes in there are safe and tested. I can't say that about anything else, but, and they're very, very basic. They don't have fragrances, they don't have all kinds of crazy, and it's free. So you can go and find it. There's incredible recipes there. I can't even tell you the site. It's okay. It was kind of where I first found, when I started looking for things, I just got tired of going to the doctor, and you just get sick of it after a while. And It's called, okay, the website is www.fao.org. And it's just fao.org. And like I said, you check it out. It's even got the whole varnish out propolis recipe. I mean, you just look at it and it's like, oh my gosh, you can do that with stuff from my hive. So anyway, it's pretty incredible. I try to get, I have a top bar hive because, and I also have hygienic bees. I haven't treated my bees since I started. I usually only lose out of 100 hives. I usually only lose about 3 hives a year. But I don't, I leave them a lot of honey. Because I'm growing, if I lose a hive, I'm failing. I'm going backwards. So it's better to leave honey more than they need than to lose that hive. So I do things a little bit differently than most. And you can see this is kind of what a frame looks like. I get people that tell me, well, you don't have as much honey. Well, that's true, I don't have as much honey. But I sell my combed honey for so much more, and then I sell all the products that I make from the beeswax, that I make just as much on all those products as I do my honey. And so, if you're a dude and you don't want to go make lip balm, I get that. But you probably have a wife, or a daughter, or even a sister that might do that for you. The other thing, too, that I like about all these different things that I'm going to make is that it's time for me to spend with my mom. It's time for me to spend with my daughter, because it's quiet, you're usually stirring something, and your world slows down just enough that you can talk about how your day is, and it's just a wonderful thing. And a lot of the recipes, if you can make a grilled cheese sandwich, you can make a lotion bar. Because lotion bar is usually like 3 ingredients, you melt it, pour it in a form, and it's done. And a grilled cheese sandwich, man, you got butter both ends, turn the skillet on, put the cheese on, put the other one on before the back end burns. I mean, it's literally so much easier that way. And so, some other uses too. So you don't want to do a propolis. You're just like, oh my gosh, what did she just say about this whole 8-week thing and shaking stuff? They actually use honey to heal a lot of wounds. You can also use it to seal wounds. I like the propolis because the alcohol cleans your wound, and we're on well water, and I'd love to say we have an incredible filter system, but we don't. It's just what's down there. And so I like that I have the alcohol to clean my wound. Also, they found that eating a spoonful of honey can help balance your digestive system. It just has a lot of good qualities to it. The thing that they told us, and every speaker at the International Convention in Slovenia emphasized that most things that you ingest, you want to do in the morning. And the reason being is, well, honey is going to make you fat. I mean, just in all honesty. But if you take it in the morning, you have all day to burn it off. And so there's a lot of good in it. The propolis is a protein, and it, like with most proteins, it gives you a little energy, so you don't really want to do it before you go to bed. Some of the other recommendations, some of the guys got tired of eating the propolis every morning just raw in a glass of warm water. So they would sprinkle it over some fruit, put a saran wrap over it, and put it in the fridge the night before, and then it would kind of fall apart over the fruit, and then you weren't like, it was a little bit, the flavor got to change a little bit on the fruit. You might see some people have started grinding up pollen and putting it in their honey and saying, oh, it's got 30% more pollen. And this is a big thing up north. If you do that, the pollen grain just ends up going right through you, because the honey sucks out whatever moisture is in that pollen, and it just becomes this coated rock thing that just goes through you. So you may try to sell you that, just like, no thank you. Okay, so you get to it, and there's so many different ways. Honey's also been used, and they used it over there quite a bit in actually preserving food. This is honey pecans, and who cares if it preserves food, it's good. So. Put it over ice cream. I hate oats, like There's my spoonful of honey on my oats, you know, and you put some nuts in there and then you oats. So making this is really easy. You put your oven on 350 and you put your pecans on a cookie sheet. You stick them in the oven mainly just to draw the moisture out, because anything you add into your honey, if it has moisture, you can cause your honey to ferment. Like say you want to add apples, well you better get dried apples to put in there, or literally it will make your honey ferment. There's a lot of infusions, that's kind of a big thing now. You put peaches, different things, jalapenos, everything needs to be as dry as it can be to go in there. And so you pour a little honey on the bottom, shove all your nuts in there, and you just do the weight and gain, pour and weight until it fills all the way up. I recommend all y'all do this. You'll get more friends during the holidays than you want, because people want to jar your pecan honey. Okay, so if you're with your beeswax a lot, I just cannot tell you how incredible your beeswax is, even if you don't want to deal with anything else. I have people that come to me, a lot of them are girls, some guys, they used to use bird bees on their lips, okay? And they have serious, serious allergies, and I don't know what they've done to bird bees, but it's not the same. And they're now breaking out, and the whole thing, I mean, this one girl, I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on with you? And if you make your own lip balms, you think, I'm just making this silly lip balm, you know, just mixing this thing up, and, you know, it's like a fun thing. No, this helps a lot of people, especially people that have braces, that you're always chapping and getting your lip, and it protects them, helps you to survive the day. And it's not that hard to clean. You just boil some water and then filter it through a tea towel. I kind of had some pictures there on it. I think I gotta go through. What I do with my wax, I get so much. I have this massive deep freeze in my garage, and I put it in a Ziploc bag and throw it there until I want to deal with it. And then I take it out, boil it in some water. You can do the solar thing if you want, but I just have too much beeswax. And you don't want to boil it too much, you just really want to melt it, because you can burn it, and you'll know when you burn it, it stinks. And it turns brown, and it's awful. And then you want to filter it through a tea towel or an old t-shirt if you want. Then I just kind of squeeze it out in another bucket that it has water in it. And I let it sit overnight. It cools in like this pretty ring. And then I boil it down again on a double boiler. And I pour it into these little cupcake molds, you know. I used to use the metal ones, and I beat them into, submission. I mean, they look, my cupcakes are all screwed up now. So, yeah, so I found these. They work really good. You can do candles. Like I said, the world ever goes crazy. You have so much more than anybody else. You really do. You have light. You have food. You have things to heal people. You become one of the greatest assets we'll have in our great state of Texas. And I love the kids program that you guys have to make more beekeepers. We just need more of this. This is a lotion bar setup that I made. I melted it, poured it, it was done. Like I said, you can see how easy it is. Just a little bit of olive oil, beeswax, and shea butter, and you're done. So, okay. And you can see I get really frou-frou with them and really pretty, because that's part of selling whatever it is you're selling or sharing. I will never sell out of my market. I mean, I won't go anywhere else, because I can't even supply my own market. And the more people that make and sell, the better quality. I want people to know that you go to Texas and you go to a farmer's market, there's going to be some amazing honey there. There's going to be some amazing products. And it may not be mine, it'll be yours. And this is a hand cream. I love doing this. You do it with kids. You're literally taking a water and an oil, and you're mixing them together, and you're doing a science experiment basically, because water and oil do not combine. And you can even see how it changes color. And this only has 4 ingredients: mineral oil, beeswax, borax, and distilled water. So I mean, I sell a jar for $5, and it costs me $1.25 to make. That includes the label and the container. I mean, it's my beeswax. That's it. And you mix it up, and it's this pretty creamy thing. And I've got lip balms. So you're like, how in the world do you get lip balms if you've never seen this? Bulk Apothecary has this really cool lip balm holder, so you don't have to try to pour every little dinky one in there. I also do an antiseptic that's really great for bug bites, cheer bites, mosquito bites. I've found nothing that matches it. And my recipes, when I write my articles, I put them in the TVA journal. And the reason I do that is, like I said, I'm not going to go into business. I'm blessed Burt's Bees for doing what they do because it actually put us on the map. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to sell to the people around me, and hopefully everybody in Texas will sell to the people around them. I'd rather have more people that make this stuff than just me. It's not enough for us. For Texas, we deserve better. So anyway, I put it in the lip balm to my son, the one that's losing his eyesight. Before we knew that, he kept getting into ant hills, fire ants, and he got covered in ant bites. And he came inside, and I made him an alcohol bath, turned on his favorite cartoons, and I put a whole tube all over him, like everywhere. And the next day, he only had about 3 bites on his ankle. I must have missed him, or he just scratched the stuff off. So it's what you have is truly incredible if you've never explored it. The More Vanilla Honey Lip Balm is a recipe I actually got from the Honey Queens a few years ago, and everybody loves it. And basically, every now and then I'll add some exotic flavor or something, but you can't go wrong with vanilla. It's the best. And let's see. And then there's soap. So soap is a whole nother realm of things that you can do. I just have literally I only sell 1 soap. I was going to try to do 3, but I can't even keep up with the one that I have. It smells great. People that have allergens, like they can't use certain soaps on their clothes. I mean, these are people that are miserable. They come and buy my soap. I have people that hunt me down. And I'm sure you guys, if anybody knows you're a beekeeper, you get bugged about honey all the time. So you'll never want for customers. And that was our first market. Okay, so back to Slovenia, more things that I learned. You may have heard about apitherapy, and some of the other things that they do in it is they do bee stings. I never would have believed any of this. A lot of the stuff that I use, I kind of happened into it, and I'm like, wait, that did what to you? Kind of thing. The first time I harvested honey, I had my mom come and help, because I'm all hands on deck, right? And she shows up in open-toed shoes. And I'm like, she'll never help me again. She's going to get stung so many times. And I've got big old feet. She's got those beautiful size 7, 8 feet, that everybody wish they had. And so I tried to put some masking tape on them, and I'm like, okay, let's go do this. And first time harvesting honey, and I really wanted it to go well. And I hear her, ow. I'm like, oh, this is getting bad. So we finally got done and stopped, went inside, did our thing. And about 2 weeks later, she calls me and she says, when are you going to go harvest honey again? And I'm like, you even want to know? And she goes, funny thing about that, the arthritis in my feet is not hurting. And my feet aren't hurting. And first of all, I was like, your feet were hurting? A lot of loved ones don't even tell you when they're hurting. It's annoying. But anyway, so I'm like, is that really a thing? And I start looking that up online, and yeah, it's really a thing. It's become more and more aware. What the bee venom does is it activates your immune system, and it just kind of deals with some issues, let your body know, hey, I'm here, you need to do something. There's a lot more science into it if you do some searches online. I don't get sick. I don't get sick anymore. I'm sure a lot of you have noticed that. My kids, like I said, twins 8, 6-year-old and 4-year-old. I should have been sick the past 8 years. They're sucking thumbs, licking on who knows what, and they get sick, and I'm just like, how am I not sick, And it just a lot of beekeepers, they'll brag at, oh, I didn't get stung. I'm not one of those beekeepers, I probably get stung every other time I go out. Y'all just read into that, which I just moved too fast, I guess. You go slow, you'll get stung. But I don't get sick. And I notice in January, February, part of it is I'm missing the sun because I need my vitamin D. But I start missing my beehive. I'm like, man, I'm not feeling good. I need to get in and get stung. So then the first time you get in your hive, you get done, you're like, oh, I need to get stung. Oh man, I didn't get stung. It's like, this is just, this is very confusing. Some other things that I learned in Slovenia, and this is a real thing, okay? So just go with me here. It's going to sound crazy. When I first heard it, I thought, this is crazy. So actually breathing in the pheromones and the air of the hive is a thing. And it's really a thing. They have a different kind of hive, and it's actually in a room. So they have all the hives, like all the hives are right here, and the bees go that way, and you walk in a door, and you work your bees from the backside. They literally have beds in those rooms that they'll put a flap down in the hives are screened so that the air can circulate. And people pay about $250 a week to spend 1 hour for 5 days in there. Okay, so why? Is this some kind of like thing? What's going on here? Okay, so what's going on? My nose is running, it's unhealthy, right? What's going on is all the pollens are in such minute particles because the bees are in there, they're flapping around, they're moving around, so there's actually pollens in the air. There are a lot of children that they'll have come in. They even have this like breathing apparatus that you can put on with a hose that goes into the hive. I mean, it looks like one of those ZPAP things for people that, stop breathing in the night. And actually, anyway, another story. They've done this and they found that they've actually cured kids of certain asthmas because they're getting those pollens in such a small amount that it slowly introduces. It's like the thing with you eat honey enough and you get to where the body recognizes that it's something that's supposed to be there. So they're finding it's helping kids a lot. The other thing too that really surprised me was they also have found that it has lowered the rate of depression. They've had people completely get off depression meds. 1 in 5 people in Slovenia are beekeepers. And it's an incredible thing, I think, for youth. I really am encouraging, and when I work with TBA, I'm going to encourage more involvement with youth, because when you're a teenager and you're going through all that, and you have highs and lows, and you don't know how to cope sometimes, and anything that can help you do that. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm just happier since I became a beekeeper, and I can't quite explain it. Every year I was growing so fast, and I'd have apprentices. I'd drive down to pick my bees up in Minnesota, and I'd pick up anywhere between 20 and 40 package bees, and about halfway back up here, I just start bawling. And I don't generally cry, believe it or not. And I mean, and it's oh my gosh, I'm so blessed, my life is so great, oh. And it was weird. You know what I mean? Like, how many people just randomly bawl because they're happy? And when I found out about the effect, I mean, if you think about it, 20 to 40 queens putting out, oh, be happy, we're going to go home, you know? I mean, I don't get like an idea of this thing. And so there's something there. I don't know quite what it is, but if you get bummed out, you get your mind. You know, just get away from whatever's bugging you and just spend some time. And I know so many people become beekeepers because they've got these high-powered jobs and they just need a time to be calm. So many beekeepers that I meet, I'm amazed to know them because of the jobs they've had, the things they've built. Some of the best minds, in my opinion, are beekeepers. So anyway, I could talk for hours, so y'all, I'm just going to slow down. Okay, one last thing. This was amazing, and if I keep telling people about it, somebody will do it, so I don't have to. They had this one mead pub or bar. You go in there, you order your mead, you go into the back, and then they have 10 hives, and they look like Langstrom, but they're just a little bit different. They have screens over them. They have these hammocks. You sit back in your hammock with your mead, and there's this, they do several languages, but there's this guy in French who'll say, relax, let your worries fly away with the bees, and on the wings. And somebody from Britain will say it, and so yeah, one of y'all need to do this. And it's an incredible. It is just an incredible experience. Like we need one of these in Texas, so I can go hang out and drink some meat and let the bees take my cares away. So anyway, okay. With that, I'll leave it to you guys. Do you have questions? Yeah. Okay, so I love the idea of the AZ hives. If I lived up north, it's all I would have. Because you have all these hives together and they share warmth, so they're not freezing out, they're just not. If it gets too crazy, you could put a little heat space heater in there and put it at like 40. You don't want it to be, or 55 or something. You don't want it to be 95 or they'll think, oh, summer's here, we'll start producing, so you kind of got to watch that. But being able to store all your stuff, they literally can harvest right there. Pull frames out, put them on the spinner, they're done. I want to have one here, and I'm going to build one, but heat's an issue. So I'm going to have an air conditioner that I can put on 95, so that when it was 120, they're not using everything they got to try to keep it cool. The reason I do is because of that. I want to lay in one when I'm feeling bummed, and I want to just breathe it in. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, there's a guy in Texas that makes the AZ hives also. The thing about Slovenia, our best wood is their worst wood. So you go there and their hives will last 30, 40 years. It's incredible, the quality of wood. We stayed in this cabin, everything was wood, it was gorgeous. And then I see them burning the wood, and I'm like, no, I want to make a hive out of that. No, we got one of that. And it was incredible to see that. Any other questions? Yeah.
Do they use Italian honey?
No, they have the Carniola is their honeybee, and that's what they got recognized for. They went and applied to the UN, especially when something gets on an endangered species list, like the UN will do something. And so we now have International Bee Day, and it's in May, and it was this massive celebration. There were no Americans there. There was like 10 of us on this tour, and the tour guide, she used to live there, and she would do programs for military families to get them away from the base. And she said, just go with this, we're investors, Mom. And we're like, she's like, follow us, and we're like up in the front. She goes, okay, mind your P's and Q's, but we're representing America today. And I was like, okay. So yeah, it's their bees are so very, very, very tame. I mean, when she said to bring a veil, because we were in hives all over the place. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, I got a Texas bee, everything here is advertised, whether anybody admits it or not. And there's no way that I would do what I did there and here. It took me a week before I realized I don't need to freak out. I'm literally sticking my hand in a bunch of bees, and it's incredible. But they're treating all the time for everything. And their biggest complaint is they sell their bees to France to die. They basically send them to France every year, and then they overtreat or kill them until that happens. Oh, okay. One last question. Anybody else? Yeah.
What type of alcohol do you use with the propolis, and we grind it before you grind it?
Yeah, okay, so the propolis, you can use Everclear or vodka. Vodka tastes a little bit better, but you're using 100 proof. I mean, this stuff tastes awful. So what you do is you put the propolis in your deep freeze, because propolis is all really gummy, and then you grind it, put it in a Ziploc bag, put it back in your deep freeze, because even the grinding thaws it out, makes it gummy again, until you get it to a nice powder, and then you put it in your Everclear or vodka. And so yeah, that's it. Okay, so one last thing. You guys are probably aware of this. Part of the honey show at the TBA convention, there was an award, 2 awards. One for the most entries for a club over 100 members, and an award for a club under 100 members, and how many entries entries they had into the honey show. And I'll be glad to report to you guys that you guys won in the over 100. And yeah, so congratulations to all of you. And so what the prize was $500 towards our youth program. And we just really wanted you to know how important that is to us and to me personally, that we get our kids out there and learn how to be beekeepers. They're just a better person all the way around. So I'd like to present the check to your president and just thank her for the support and encouragement. And if you want to win it next year, you guys got to start entering stuff. So check it out. We're going to have the rules out early. And if you're entering in the local, you already got your money ready. You know, just take it, submit it to the national. Congratulations.
Thank you, Robin. That was wonderful. I find it very interesting. I myself have been studying apitherapy on the side periodically. I've used it to heal burns with my son. I've healed numerous wounds on myself as well as family members. And last year we actually did have a request from somebody over near the mid-cities areas that was looking for hives to actually create a breathing chamber for a family member. So it's an up-and-coming thing, and people are trying to find more and more research. Again, please consult your physicians before you try anything of this nature. And again, like Robin said, start with small first. There have been numerous adverse reactions by people starting just, oh, this is nothing, and they take too large a quantity. So again, if you're going to use pollen grains, it is really 1 granule to start with. I'd just like to say thank you to our club members who participated in the honey contest to help win this money for our club. This really does mean a lot. We will look forward to using this for our youth programs. I'd just like to announce that we had 100 members here tonight with 12 visitors. Thank you everybody for coming. With that, you are dismissed, and I hope to see you at our Christmas banquet. We are still collecting auction items. If you will contact Kathy Drake, we would appreciate it.